Well, hey, good morning again. I'm out here. I'm trying to get out every morning on the water because I found last year doing that series, it's a very special place for me, and I get very close to God out here. And as I was going through the book of Joshua, verse by verse, on that other series, I came to the part where they were sanctifying themselves, and I realized how far apart from God I was in that moment, and how desperate I was for sanctification and closeness with God. So I'm just getting out here as much as I can. You know, that series has been incredible. If you haven't seen that series, check that out, because for me, it's life-changing. It's not just going through that book, but I'm physically changing because, you know, the Israelites were going into war, and I think as we look at a time of tribulation, we have to prepare ourselves physically for that thing. I'd say most Americans are not ready for hard times at all. So I'm doing that, and now God had put it on my heart that it's you know, it's really spiritual. It's prepare spiritually as well, and by sanctifying yourself, not just know these things, but absorb them. So I really don't know what I'm doing out here as far as what I'm going to talk about. You know, God for a couple days drew me to Psalm 51, and so I'm just going to stay in Psalms. I'm going to go to 1. I'm just going to go to Psalm 1, verse 1. Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stands in the path of sinners, nor sits in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law he meditates day and night. Being able to avoid ungodly people, it's a very hard thing to do because most people in the world are ungodly in nature. And the thing about this is, a lot of people say, well, I can't, I work with them, or they're my neighbors, or they're my siblings, or they're my, you know, they're my family, you know. We kind of had a rule in our house as I was the parent, my kids were growing up. They're all grown now, but the general rule is you can't associate with fools. And that was just based off of Proverbs, you know, all the consequences of associating with fools. And this is a foolish thing. I mean, I didn't prepare for this, but, you know, there's multiple Bible verses that talks about the foolishness. Well, I know one. I'll grab it. It's Romans 1. Verse 22, professing to be wise, they became fools. You know, this is, you know, we can love people, but we don't have to necessarily associate. Like if somebody is a fool, or they're ungodly, or they're sinners, or scornful, like I can love them, but I don't have to associate with them. Like, meaning, like, when people think of me, they don't think of that person also. Like, oh, they're together. Because that draws you further into that sinful nature. It's not really about, like, well, don't associate them, you know, let them just be terrible. Like, it's not that. It's because that sinful nature draws within, because the next thing is, well, how do we avoid this? Well, we meditate on the law. We meditate on God's law. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law he meditates day and night. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water that bring forth its fruit in its season, whose leaf also shall not wither, and whatever he does shall prosper. You know, and ultimately what they're saying is, like, you know, there's times whenever people they're falling apart. You know, the world's falling apart. And, you know, I think America right now, most Americans are generally fearful in some way. And what they're saying is, when things are terrible for everybody else, you're like a tree planted by the water. Everybody else seems to be withering away and burning up and dying. You're just getting stronger, because you're not associating with the ungodly, and you're meditating on his law, and you delight in it. Like, it's not like you meditate on it and you're like, well, that's stupid. You meditate on it and you think, oh man, that is good. It makes my soul feel good. It makes my heart feel good. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff, which the wind drives away. Therefore, the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. Now, really what they're talking about is they're talking about like in the end time, like, judgment, post-judgment. These people aren't going to be around. For the Lord knows the way of the righteous, the way of the ungodly shall perish. It's about really what God has for us, what he intended for us. Everything that he intended for Adam, you can have. You just have to escape the ungodly. And how do you do that? You meditate on the law and you delight in it. And I need that again, I'm out on this boat by myself with my dog, talking to a phone. But I need this as well, I need this. That's why I'm out here. It's to meditate on the law. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to let you go. I'm going to sit out here. I'm going to meditate on the law in the quiet, listen to the birds chirp. Because these psalms are like songs, and I kind of jokingly said last time, like the Canadian geese or the birds, they'll play the chords, So I hope this video helps. Sanctify yourself. Prepare for a time of trouble.